Well, let's talk about that. Other people's feelings and sentiments towards you, and just how much that impacts your life, right? Here's how I am about that now. The biggest breakthrough of my life came when I was in the fetal position after the conclusion of all these narcissistic relationships in February. What was that really about? Well, it was about looking at and examining what was I actually feeling. Where does all the pain come from? What I realized is that it was this prevailing sense of being broken and being not good enough. Now that's a very real feeling. It's supported by a lot of evidence, right? Now let's take a look at something. If you were to examine this human being, in my case, this ex-girlfriend, is it true that I was not good enough for her? Is that why this happened to me? That because I was broken, that this person acted that way and did what they did? No. They would do that, no matter what. And the truth of the matter is that the experience of being not good enough is from being in a relationship with sustained devaluation in a very covert way. Pushing of my buttons to have me experience myself as not quite measuring up or being the best boyfriend or guy that I could for this person while I tried, while I would cook dinner, while I would want to take her to shows and do things to satiate her needs in the relationship. Never really getting any fulfillment or positive feedback or affirmation for those efforts. And there was a steady decline in my emotional state as a result of being triggered and never getting untriggered. And then, you know what I did is I saw in the whole of my life that conversation in my mind of being not good enough was something that was always there. In fact, that was driving me in my business, that I was trying to prevail. I was trying to prove that I had what it took, that I was good enough, that my mind, I could engineer and I could do this and I could do that and I could be a great car builder. And so that sense of being not good enough was a major motivator in my life to have me to aspire to be good enough. And there's plenty of evidence of things that I was good enough at. And there were things that I failed at, and those things were disappointments that reflected on me, suggesting I wasn't good enough during that period of time. And then I would make the corrections. And so what did I do is I let that go. I actually let that go. A mentor once taught me this thing. And it's like you be in the mirror with yourself and you say something to the effect of, I give up the right to have the complaint that I'm not good enough in my life forever. Essentially, I released myself from the occurrence of being not good enough. And what it did is it opened up a vast space, almost a place of emptiness and nothingness, where I had to really confront who I was being in my life. What is the impact on me of living my entire life, and where did that come from? It came from about a 7-year-old version of myself, pushing to try to earn the admiration of a narcissistic father and never quite getting there, and living my life in a people-pleasing manner to attempt to experience myself as adequate, as good enough to exist, to prevail. And ultimately, there was a failure to be that way as a child, that I could never really be good enough to mend the relationship with my parents. And now, as an adult, that became something that was a driven focus of my life, something concealed from my view. So intertwined and integrated with reality itself, it goes unquestioned. That the experience of being not good enough was alive and real. Something experienced, not just as an emotional state, but really as an interpreted view of reality. And so what did I do in letting go of the right to have the complaint that I'm not good enough in my life forever? Is I bifurcated my identity from it. Often what I tell people is I say, listen, you live like you are not good enough. You say, I'm not good enough. What if you said, I experience myself as being not good enough? What you've done for the first time in your existence is you have separated yourself, the I, from your experience. that you have an experience of life that you actually confuse with yourself. That you actually think you are not good enough. Not that you're experiencing being not good enough. So when you can separate yourself from the experience of yourself, you now have yourself free and clear of the experience, observing the experience, looking at it in its totality, able to, without invalidation, examine the root cause of a lot of your suffering is not the circumstances of your life, but your occurrence of the significance of those situations, results, or lack thereof. That's what you got stuck with. That the experience you're suffering with is nothing more than a trigger. You've been being triggered. You've been being treated as if you're not good enough. And that it just runs in parallel with sentiments that you already have within you that you conceal from everybody else as you wear a little mask of happiness. And I'm fine, and I'm fine, and I'm fine. And you went, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, while trying to appease somebody until it stopped working. Until all of your efforts were exhausted, until everything that you did to try to be good enough for this individual failed you. And without recognizing the pathology of this other person and the futility of your own vicious circle, you're just stuck, suspended in the experience of the vicious circle itself. I'm not good enough. Undistinct from you. As if that is who you are, and you are the beingness, the embodiment of not good enough. Wearing it. Letting it run your life. Letting it be the foundational basis of how you interpret reality itself. A constant comparison to other people. A constant evaluation of your life and your past. Being dominated by a prevailing sense of a need to fix yourself, change your life, improve yourself, over and over and over, like a spiritual hypochondriac, in a never-ending healing journey, which is supported by common consensus because that is basically what everybody else is doing. And they have whole book sections at Barnes & Noble's dedicated to taking your money to give you the next thing, the next cure, the next fix, the next explanation. And there is no explanation needed. That you're living in an illusion, saying you're not good enough. And so when I say let go of concern over what people think, when I'm free of the concern of being good enough, I'm just present. And when somebody brings that not good enough energy my way, what do I see? I see somebody suffering. Because only somebody struggling with their own identity would need to invalidate another person in total avoidance of their own self-significance and need to be superior to others as to ascertain that they're good enough. That you're going around through life as a magical human being, gifted with this wonderful gift called life, on this beautiful, perfect planet, where everything in the history of the universe went perfect just so you could exist right now in this moment. Every cell division, that one sperm, one egg, that one conception, and then that perfection happening for every single generation in the past, since single-cell organisms, since the Big Bang, since God said, let there be light, all of it went perfect for your grandparents and their grandparents and their... And here you are, not good enough, because you look at another magical being, the tip of the iceberg, because your self-awareness is that low, and because they're a millimeter taller than you, or they have a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that, whatever the F, you make that mean you're not good enough, that you're a mistake, that you're broken, that things should have gone different, that you should have had different parents, that, you know what, if a butterfly farted 10,000 years ago, we wouldn't even be talking, we wouldn't exist. So a lot more things went right than went wrong. And so if you want to live your life at the effect of the opinions of maladjusted and very twisted people that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, I'm no longer willing to entrust my relationship to myself and my mental health to this shit show called humanity. If you haven't noticed, it's the Lord of the Flies out here. It is people playing the violin as the Titanic is sinking. There's corruption, there's immorality, there are sick people walking around. I don't care what they have to say about me.